Hi, guys. It's your friendly internet Mo in the deep end, learning the internet along with everyone else. Today, we are going to continue with. I am sorry. Thor is a terrible catnip addict, and when he gets too high, he starts crying. So if you hear him in the background, he is not in pain. He is simply high as balls, and I am sorry, but he's going to be crying and I might have to talk him down later. Dear Lord. This is if it isn't the kids, it's the cat. It's really just ridiculous. But let's try to get more into the Joel Guy Jr., and if all else fails, we will deal with my high as balls cat because, the internet is full of fun stuff that you never really knew you needed to know, as per usual. It's a duct tape production here. We're just trying to live up to the court's, stellar audio and visual thing. Oh my goodness, that mask was a choice, and I'm not sure it was a good one at this point, but let's see. We finished up with all the sisters and kind of relatives, and I believe this is now the police officer that helped with the first kind of search through the house, or at least the wellness um, kind of checks that they were called on. Also, if I
Thank you for
had
that break.
mm,
Ready to resume
gotten
the testimony. John, you ready to
stock in
consider your testimony
plexiglass,
or you ready
this
to
Mo
call
would
the
have a lot
witness?
more cool stuff. Cone of shame.
What? Oh, it takes a little battery.
Oh Lord, don't do the Hannibal Lecter sniffing me like I'm gonna have a fava beans and a nice Chianti. It's Chianti, not Chianti. Oh, he is just deeply unsettling to look at. And yet we continue to keep his face on there. And there's Father Time, his lawyer. I wonder if I can send
All
him
right,
a real
everyone, you may
cone
be
of shame.
seated. Does the state weigh the call, jury? Defense weigh the call? Welcome back, folks. Thank you for that break. We're ready to resume the state's proof. John, if you please call your next witness. Detective, please come forward.
The prosecution coordinated their masks. Go Team State. I don't know why we decided to put the cone of shame on, Joel, except for the fact that it is a cone of shame and he is a boil on the butt of humanity that needs to be lanced.
Please raise your right.
I also don't feel like I'm getting the true court experience. Y'all, do you not see I don't see any duct tape anywhere. I am both shocked and confused.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please have a seat, sir. Once you're seated,
Well,
you
the
may
neck
remove
gaiter
your
is a
face
choice.
covering.
Tell us your name, sir,
Stephen Ballard,
and by whom are you employed?
Knox County.
Okay, side note, but that would annoy the ever-loving stuffing out of me. I'm trying not to curse. It's that magical day when your 6-year-old uses the F word in correct context that, maybe you curse like a drunken sailor and, you need to work on yourself just a little bit. But, yeah, that would annoy the stuffing out of me having something around my neck. I'd be like, "Ugh," but that's just me.
County Sheriff's Office.
In what capacity?
I work in the Major Crimes Unit.
I want to talk about the year 2016. Were you still employed in that year, sir?
Yes, sir.
And what was your assignment on November the 28th, 2016?
I was a patrol canine officer,
In what region of Knox County were you charged with patrolling?
West Knoxville.
And does that include Golden View Lane?
Yes, sir.
And I want to ask you about that day, sir. Did you have cause to respond to 11434 Golden View Lane here in Knox County?
Yes, sir.
And what was the basis of you responding to that residence?
It was to do a welfare check on Lisa Guy.
And did you in fact go to that residence?
Yes, sir.
And if you would, tell the members of the jury what you did to accomplish your welfare check. once you
It's
got-
called a lapel mic. I
The
want to
first
get
initial
one.
response, I pulled up to the residence, I exited my vehicle, I went to the front door, knocked on the front door, rung the doorbell, didn't get a response. So I went to if you're facing the house, I went to the left side of the house. There was a small white 4-foot fence around the backyard. I noticed a dog house in the backyard. I whistled for
Doggos.
the dog. Didn't get any response. Looked down, noticed that the gate was locked. At that point, I come back around to the front door of the home and I knock and ring the doorbell again.
Did you have cause to notice whether or not the residence was for sale at that time?
There was a for sale sign in the front yard.
And were there vehicles physically in the driveway of the residence?
Yes, sir.
And in the course of your welfare check, did you run those vehicle tags, sir?
I could have possibly run those on my computer. Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you recall whether or not you did that day?
I don't recall.
At least he's honest.
So when you go to the door, sir, are you looking in the door or are you just knocking and ringing the doorbell?
No, sir. I'm just knocking and ringing the doorbell. It had been an officer safety issue to be peering in.
When you say officer safety issue, what are you talking about, sir?
Typically, if I go out to a residence, I don't put my face up to the window to be able to see inside. It's an officer safety issue.
And how long on the initial response did you spend at 11434 Golden View Lane?
I'll say approximately 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, so this is the first one where they just kind of had a little looky-loo, but didn't really test anything, didn't notice that the handle was all jerry-rigged.
That's what, Sean?
Yes, sir.
Maybe the fact that the courts can't afford new audio stuff is because they spent so much on Kinkos. These big old, printed photographs, I'm sure, are not cheap.
I'm going to approach and show you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 10 for identification. Can you identify that, sir?
Yes, sir. That's 11434 Golden View.
Does that accurately reflect the residence that you responded to on November 28, 2016?
Yes, sir.
What did we do before Google Earth?
After your initial response, did you have cause to return to that residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me back up a little. Where did you go after your first response, after you left the residence?
I went about my daily duties, and I believe that I had actually pulled into a parking lot off a Lovell Road before I initially went back out for the second time.
Okay, and do you recall the lapse of time between the first visit and the second?
I'll say approximately an hour to 2 hours.
Okay, and what was the cause to go back a second time?
I had spoke with Detective McCord over the phone. We were discussing a robbery that had taken place on Lovell Road. I believe the business was the Subway. We briefly spoke about that.
Now I want a
Detective
sandwich
McCord
real
asked
bad.
me what I had found when I went out to the guy residence. I
Oh, can we talk about how expensive Subway has gotten though? Because my husband and I went there. He ate, I didn't because I had to go get my spinal injections and they want you starving. But there are no more $5 footlongs. I mean, just a travesty of our time. Resume to
explained to him
Detroit.
that the inside foyer light was on. There were vehicles in the driveway, but I got no response at the door. At that point, Detective McCord told me that he had a little more information and asked if I would go back out to the residence with him.
Okay, and did you in fact go back with Detective McCord?
Yes, sir.
And were any other patrol officers accompanying the two of you?
Yes, sir.
And who were they, sir?
That would have been Jarrett Graves, and I believe it was Sergeant Benjamin Gresham at the time.
Okay, and upon the second arrival, what, if anything, you guys did differently than you did in the first welfare check?
So the second time when we arrived there, the neighbor, if you're facing the guy residence, the neighbor to the left, her garage door was open. Actually went over, spoke with her briefly just to see if she could tell us when the last time was that she had seen them. Then we go across the street and speak with the neighbors across the street from the Guy residence.
Is this something that you would do on any sort of welfare check and investigate further?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and after you get back to the physical residence, you knock on the door and ring the doorbell again?
Excuse me, Detective Allen, I don't mean to interrupt. So I know we've tried 100 times cases in here, but there's a juror right behind you, and you're kind of standing in front of her, and I don't want her to miss with anything. I'm
Forgive me
sorry,
for the time,
I know it's
Your
just a habit, but it's a little bit different.
I'll try to stay confined to the podium if I could.
Oh, Lord,
What
a
was the
lawyer that
question
stays
again,
on
When
the
you return to the
podium?
residence after you canvass the neighborhood, if you will, what did you go to the back of the residence at any point?
I believe at that point, Sergeant Gresham was on the front porch and he had pointed out on inside the residence some groceries you could see if you put your face up to the actual window. You could see groceries sitting inside in the foyer. So myself, Detective McCord, we go around the left side of the house. If you're facing the front of the house, we climb the fence, get into the backyard. We go up onto the porch area. As soon as you get up in front of the door, we noticed the doorknob, one of the doorknobs was missing, and Detective McCord had knelt
Oh,
down to
no,
look
you are cone of
through
shame. Where is
that
cone of shame?
doorknob.
When you say a doorknob's missing, could you physically see into the residence?
Through the knob, through the doorknob hole, yes.
So where the knob should be?
Yes, sir.
And based on that, did you have cause to investigate further?
Yes, sir.
And where do you go after the back of the residence? Where do you go next?
So when we start walking back around, there's a back door to the garage that has a doggy door. I had attempted to see if that door was unlocked, and it was not. So then we go back around to the fence where we had crossed, and we climb back over the fence at that point.
And once you're back in the driveway after being in the backyard, what do you do, sir?
At some point, the garage door opens and we enter the residence.
And when you say the garage door opens, is that as a result of law enforcement opening that garage door?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. It wasn't you physically who did it.
No, sir.
And when you enter the residence, if you would describe to the members of the jury what you were seeing and what was going on upon your initial entry.
So the garage door comes up.
Okay, y'all, this is your last warning. I mean, in my remembering of this trial, I don't believe it shows anything, but you will hear a doggo just crying, and sounds just traumatized as any doggo would be, dealing with his, mom and dad getting brutally hurt. So, it, and the pot in or head in pot, all of the Joel Geist, shenanigans. So this is your last warning, and I will continue now.
Detective McCord is in front of me. I'm behind Detective McCord. The other two officers are behind me. As we enter the garage, you can feel an intense heat coming out of the garage area. We go up to the interior garage door. And if you're facing in the garage, the interior garage door would have been to our right. Detective McCord announces Knox County Sheriff's Office. And at that point, he pushes the interior door open. When the interior door comes open, we step into the residence. There's some chemicals setting in the floor as soon as you step in, and then we begin to clear the residence.
Okay, and when you're clearing a residence, describe to the members of the jury what you're trying to achieve, sir.
We're trying to achieve to see if Mr. and Mrs. Guy are okay due to the fact they didn't come to the door. You've got groceries sitting in the floor, and the back doorknob's obviously missing at that point. We continue to go through the residence. As we go through the garage door, you see the chemicals setting in the floor. There's like a short, long hallway to the right, the best I recall. And if you're looking down that hallway, you see a dining room table toward the front of the residence. I can see something at that point lying on the dining room table. We continue through, come down the foyer where the groceries are lying in the floor. I look to my right, I see long guns lying out on the dining room table. At that point, we turn to start up the stairway.
Let
To
me
the
ask you, sir,
residence.
at this point, do you have your service weapon drawn?
Yes, sir.
And do the
I
other
would hope
officers with
so.
you have their service weapons drawn?
I know Detective McCord did. The other two officers were behind me at that point.
And in terms of what you're perceiving with your senses, can you smell chemicals?
I actually feel a tingling on my forehead from
Sir,
the time that I entered
I am
the
sorry you
home.
are high, but that does not
As we
mean
continue on and start
you
up
can
the
molest
steps,
me.
the heat is more intense. It seems to be getting hotter.
Okay. And if
sorry.
you would, describe what, if anything,
Thor is well, he loves the catnip, but he can get a little too tripped out. So he's now just going to sit here and sing for us and hopefully fall asleep. Oh Lord.
you observed in the course of going up the steps.
There again, the groceries were in the floor. I noticed the weapons lying out on the dining room table. We start up the steps. We get to a landing where there's a small, like, child gate. Detective McCord sees some blood that he believes to be on the wall at that point. He asks if anyone has had gloves on them, and I did have a pair of gloves in my BDU pockets. I pulled those gloves out to put them on so that we could open that gate and go on up.
Oh wow,
To the
officers
landing
that use
upstairs.
gloves.
Okay, and to the best of your recollection, if you could describe the layout of the upstairs once you make it to the second floor.
So when you hit the landing, there's a room immediately to your right that it turns back kind of behind you. Then there was a room on an angle to my right and another room on an angle to my left with a long hallway.
Okay, and in terms of what you believe to be blood, do you see anything once you get to the top of the stairs?
Yes, sir. When I get to the top of the steps, I believed it to be a human hand or a hand lying at the very end of the hallway.
And did you go a different way or have cause to go a different way than Detective McCord did initially when you're clearing the residence?
Yes, sir. Detective McCord broke off immediately to the right and kind of behind where I was, and I continued down the hallway.
Okay. And where you think you see hands, do you eventually make it to that room, sir?
Yes, sir.
And do you clear that room?
Yes, sir. Partially. Yes, sir.
And if you would, describe what you see in that room.
I see a human hand. It was
You know, just a minute here, and I know I kind of tend to cut up, but thank you very much to all of the good police officers, first responders, things like that that go into these scenes and like the bags under his eyes are just, he has seen some stuff. Um, so thank you very much to all these guys who do this and gals.
lying in an upright position with another human hand that was closed fist behind it.
And after you make those observations, what do you collectively do as the officers who are clearing the residence?
Detective McCord had seen something in one of the other rooms and requested that we back out at that point. And at that point, we worked our way back out of the residence. And I went, if you were facing their residence, I went to the outside far back right of the residence and held a perimeter till we could get additional officers on scene.
And when you say you held the perimeter, is there any reason why you were continuing to hold the perimeter if you cleared the interior of the residence?
The complete interior of the residence, I don't believe had been cleared at that point.
Okay, and at any point,
Holy dear God. New Hampshire police, this is how you both clear and set, security and make a secure perimeter, just in case you need to know.
during the time within the residence at 11434 Golden View, were you alerted as to the presence of a dog anywhere?
Yes, you could hear a dog in one of the rooms faintly barking.
Okay, and where the dog was, is that one of the rooms that you cleared?
No, sir.
And when you're holding your perimeter back outside, how long do you do that?
How long? What, sir?
How long are you holding the perimeter outside?
It seemed like forever. You know, maybe 15 minutes,
Okay.
10, 15 minutes.
And did you have reason to re-enter the residence that day, sir?
I did not.
And I want to ask you, sir, are you equipped with a body camera
Yes, sir.
on this date, November 28, 2016?
Yes, sir.
And have you had a chance to review those videos prior to testifying today?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if we could, we would ask to publish 3 segments of body camera footage from November 28, 2016.
Let's hope that their tech is better today and doesn't flash and severely injure people that have epilepsy. Ugh. Just ugh.
And I'm going to show you in pre-market states exhibit 11 for identification. Can you identify that this, sir?
Yes, sir. It's marked with my name on it and being my body camera.
And does it have the date the same as the day that you responded to 11-4-30?
We haven't heard what his doggo's name is. I find that to be a very necessary question. He is a doggo police officer. He must have a doggo. I want to know, is it Rufus? Is it Maxwell? Is it Hershey's?
Thank you, Todd. I'm going to show you first the initial response to the residents.
There is a chin in there somewhere. Oh, Lord. They have me doing this stuff, don't they?
I may stop you here and just ask questions, but is there a reason why the portion of the front end of the body camera footage is typically muted?
Is there a difference in what, sir?
Is there a reason why the front end of the body camera footage is muted?
My understanding is when you very first turn the camera on, there's a delay in that.
Tell us what you're doing, sir.
This is me arriving at 11434 Golden View. And at this point, I'm going to approach the front door.
Those are some nice mailboxes.
K96, stuff.
See if I can turn this down just a bit. It's kind of loud to me. I'll turn it down and then you guys can turn it up if you want to hear it louder. I just don't want to blow out y'all's earbuds or drums. Well, both actually.
I rung the doorbell at this point.
Well, I'm glad he rung the doorbell. It's like you're in your own first player video game with this stuff.
Vehicles being present in the driveway, are those the same vehicles that are present?
Yes, sir. This is where I'm going to the side of the residence.
Ooh, I am
to try to
jealous
check
of the
back.
truck. That's a pretty nice backyard. I wonder if the sale went through or if they got like a discount.
I rung the doorbell again and just waiting to see if I get a response.
So I don't know if you guys heard that, but they say that there's a German Shepherd. So that's what the guy's dog is. Again, we are severely lacking in doggo information about the canine officer. Huh. So that's what a wellness check is. You just kind of look around and meh. No tentacle anything coming up on this share screen. So good, good using the personal computer or no personal computer stuff.
Just for clarification, is this your second visit to the residence?
If that's the video with Detective McCord, we will climb that fence.
That detective got over pretty good. I am always impressed as a person that can barely walk and chew gum at the same time. That looks a lot like peering into holes that he told us we shouldn't do in the first part, but hey, they're walking into a crap show.
Doorknob missing or absent from the rear door, is that depicted in the screen, sir?
Yes, sir. Detective McCord is actually looking through where the doorknob is missing at this point.
Here's the deal. They said they purchased a house in Johnson City, so hopefully he'll have information on it.
They're saying Robertson, the neighbors.
And the realtor saying Johnson City.
Well, it's relatively close, yeah.
That doggy door? Yeah, there's supposedly a house.
Sirs, there is no way. Get a new recruit. Get a first year recruit.
All their cars are here.
Listen, as a fluffy person myself,
Get how many one of them bricks back over when you get over? Oh, yeah.
oh, that's a me.
No, one's good.
Hey, work smarter, not harder. Of course, anyone could have figured out maybe how to open the damn thing, but that would be okay. Officer Mc. Well, there's a butt shot. There you are for the ladies. Heiny shots for everyone.
You hung. I'm going back off for a minute.
Entry into the residence?
Yes, after this takes place, we do make entry into the residence.
See, and they have professional names, whereas I'd be like the hands video. Okay, well, they locked their house but unlocked their cars, you know?
It appears that Officer Graves had went into one of the guy's vehicle. I couldn't tell what he was doing at that point, but the garage door does open.
Magic. You're a wizard. You're a wizard, cop. Oh, we gotta.
Hello, Sheriff's Office!
Can we talk about the garage refrigerator? Because my family has had one, but you live and die by that garage refrigerator. That's how you know you've made it.
I hear a dog howling.
Yeah, the dog is just
Knox County
screaming.
Sheriff's Office! Police!
Gonna turn this down because he's gonna be shouting, and I honestly don't want to hear El Doggo crying.
Police
There's
Department,
the mom
Sheriff's
pot.
Office!
Oh, the figurine cabinet.
Knox County Sheriff's Office!
Oh dear Lord. Can we talk about now if everyone's mother didn't have this, like the borders. My mom went ham with some borders. We had borders, in your room for any specific, decor you may need, but these are some borders right here.
Office!
That is a lot of beer. Well, I mean,
Yes, sir.
I got the gun down here.
Joel is such a lazy POS. He couldn't even put the guns away.
Knox County Sheriff's Office!
Yeah, that doggo is just traumatized.
Back everybody out. It's blood, right? Everybody looks like it. Is that blood or boo-boo? It looks like blood.
Gotta love it. Is that blood or boo boo? There are some days you might just not know.
Anybody got gloves on?
Yeah, I'm not.
Knox County Sheriff's Office! We're here to check your welfare!
Oh, and they're putting on gloves. Again, New Hampshire. It's called being a good cop.
Knox County Sheriff's Office!
You can kind of see all the buckets of chemicals, and according to this particular officer, I mean, their faces were feeling like they were tingling and melting off. The amount of I used to work at a pool doing aquatic physical therapy, and the amount of muriatic acid you would have to kind of get that effect would be just astounding, especially with the heat being up. I mean, they should have probably have been wearing masks. The amount of heat and the free chlorine and chemicals in the air, I'm surprised these officers don't have breathing problems, to be very honest with you.
I've got one, probably one down here too, Jay. I'm going right, Benji.
And that's where I noticed the hands at the end of the hallway.
Also, Joel, you left your daggone laptop, your murder book, everything. Just lazy.
This room's clear.
Good job.
Okay, got you.
Oh, the borders you will see.
Clear. Door shuts for dog.
Oh, poor doggo.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I see. That's what it looks like. It's your fucking hand. Get out now. I ain't cleared it. We not cleared this. There's blood all over it though. You wanna? Can't back out.
They're like, GTFO. Wait, hands? What?
What you got here? Everything else already. You don't want to go everything else already. Call game on that. Don't call anybody else. I don't need shit blown up yet. Call game on that. Back out. After the garage, same way we came in, don't touch them.
Oh my goodness, scene security and not touching and disturbing things on the scene. It's like y'all know how to do your copping. And this is where it turns off because they're like, WTF, hands?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I believe that's all we got to close from this portion.
The General Sanchez, the rest of that video is in, correct?
It is in.
Thank you.
Thank you for not showing us the
Right
hands.
here in Knox County.
Yes, sir, it did.
Pass witness.
Ugh, just,
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
oh Lord, what does Father Time have to say?
You said that when you first went out, you did not put your face up to the glass. It's an officer safety issue.
Yes, sir.
Is there a fear of what could be on the other side of the glass or someone see you peering in and react?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd like obvious answers for 800, Alex. Obvious answers for 800.
Okay. Is there a policy as to that, or is that just training, or?
I don't think there's a policy. I believe that's just training.
Okay. But then I think you indicated one of the officers did do that. Is that right?
Yes, sir. After
Well, he's a
numerous other officers
detective.
were on scene.
Okay. And after the door had been knocked on several times, and
Yes,
the
sir.
doorbell rung.
Yes, sir.
Now, at the back, after you've jumped the fence and Officer McCord's gone up and looked into the hole, he does not tell you anything about what he sees or experiences.
I don't recall.
Okay,
But
it's
he
not
didn't.
on the tape where he says, "Oh, I feel a lot of heat,"
Yeah, I don't recall that he told me that.
and he doesn't say anything on the tape about smelling a chemical smell.
I don't recall him telling me that.
In fact, it looks like after he goes to a side window and looks in, does he say the word nothing?
I believe I heard someone say nothing.
So they didn't have exigent circumstances. I don't know that you're going to win that, defense attorney, but go ahead with it.
And then when you, was it you who tried the doggy door?
Yes, sir. It was me.
It was locked,
Yes, sir, it was.
but there was no other useful information from the door.
Other than it being locked and no one crawled through it.
Now, the inside garage door, was that after the big car door opened, the inside door, that was closed, appeared to be closed?
It
when
was
you-
pulled too. Yes, sir.
And Detective McCord either pushed it open or opened the, do you know which?
Yeah, I just know he pushed the door open, sir.
Okay. And you only
These
went in the house the one
questions-
time?
Yes,
These questions are confusing. It's like a Daryl Brooks question where you're like, I don't know that you're adding anything to the defense, but you're asking a question, so you've passed one hurdle in your lawyering.
Yes, sir.
And it turned out there was not a suspect or anyone alive in the house.
No, no, sir.
Now, you said you talked to neighbors and someone saw a light on at 6:30, a bathroom light?
Yes, sir.
1 second, Your Honor. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Just very briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Hofstad asked you that it turns out there was no suspects in the house. Let me ask you, back on November 28th, 2016, did you know whether or not anyone was in the rooms that you hadn't cleared?
No, sir. I had no idea.
Anything else, Mr. Austin? Thank you, Detective. You may step down. Next witness.
Can we call Sandy Campbell?
So again, the ripple effect of these victims, I mean, or of these defendants. So you have the, family, the close friends that lose their loved ones, but you also have these first responders who have to go into a scene that looks like it's at the end of, oh God, what is the movie? It's not The Abyss. Anyways, Dante's Inferno kind of a scene. And you just, dear Lord, why is this guy such a giant butthole? And I really didn't quite get what they were trying to get at it, and other than to maybe state that the police shouldn't have gone in because they really didn't have exigent circumstances. But that's kind of like fighting about the font of your murder conviction paper rather than you did it.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, something God? I do. You may have a seat, officer, and once you're seated, you may remove your mask. Please speak in the microphone.
Okay, so we've got a sidebar. I believe this is the evidence gathering officer or something to that effect. She's the one that would kind of detail the crime scene, I believe. Oh, they have their own little corner they get to confab with. Father Time looks like he's slowly fading away. Just you are just awful.
Whenever you're ready, thank you.
What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Officer Sandy Campbell,
By whom you employed?
Knox County Sheriff's Office.
In what capacity?
I'm currently assigned to the Forensic Services Unit.
And how long you've been employed at the Sheriff's Department?
Almost 9 years.
And
That
in
is
the
a
course of your 9
tense
years, in the course of your
bun right
employment,
there.
Have you exclusively been in the forensic unit?
No, I've been in the Forensic Unit for almost 7.
And tell us what, if any, training you've received as it has to do with forensics, particularly processing crime scenes.
Probably the most comprehensive training that I've received is attendance at the National Forensics Academy, which is a 10-week course recognized kind of worldwide as the standard, the gold standard of forensic services technician training.
Okay, what are some of the things that, training that you undergo at the National Forensics Institute?
We do many different kinds of things, ballistics, insofar as like shooting reconstruction specifically, and blood pattern analysis. We do just crime scene management in general, different ways of processing for latent fingerprint.
I do wonder with a lot of these sciences being, well, disputed as the level of validity, like the blood spatter and the ballistics, if that's going to change some of the policies for forensics, or um, it's going to cause kind of a stampede of appeals, the cases that were based on this kind of forensic evidence. Not sure. I just know it'll be a poo show.
Much, like lots and lots of stuff.
Okay. And when we're dealing with crime scenes in particular, and crime scene management, as you put it, what are the types of things that you're doing on a crime scene in terms of physical evidence?
So specifically, my job consists of documenting, collecting, and preserving any sort of physical evidence that we find on a scene.
I'm going to ask you to speak up just a little bit, just because we have jurors in the way back.
Okay.
Get that microphone a little closer.
Okay.
Okay. And when you say processing and documenting, you do that through the use of video?
Yes, video and just a digital camera as well, photographs.
And did you do a crime scene video in this case?
I did.
And Your Honor, if I could, I would late file Exhibit 12, I believe, and I'd ask to publish that.
Folks, Exhibit 12 is currently in electronic form. So we're going to go ahead and show it to you. By the end of the day, we'll actually have it on a hard disk to have it here deliberation. You may follow.
And before I publish, kind of tell us why you became involved with this case when you responded.
My supervisor at the time was Captain Brad Park, and he called me on the phone and said, "Come over here to this address. We've got a huge scene." So
And do you recall what day that was?
it was the 28th.
She's leaving out the holy Jesus cheese balls. There are hands, MFing hands on the hallway, and we just opened a soup pop, and well, we're never eating chili again.
8th of November,
And what year?
2016.
Okay. And you did state you, in fact, did do a video of the crime scene?
I did.
And did you take pictures of the crime scene?
I did.
And did you collect physical evidence?
I did.
And talk to us a little bit about the practices and procedures that you use when you collect physical evidence.
There's a lot of glove changing, so there's not cross contamination with DNA. And we preserve things in paper bags rather than plastic, because plastic over time can kind of degrade the evidence if there's biological material on it.
Learn something new every
inside the
day.
bag. So we're going to use paper bags so that air can help keep microbial growth at a minimum.
And once you get a piece of physical evidence, do you seal that piece of evidence?
We do. We seal it along edges with evidence tape that's then signed and dated.
And where is the physical evidence stored?
I'm sorry.
Where's the physical evidence stored?
We have it stored in the Forensic Services Lab, which is downstairs in this building, and it's locked in the lab and then additionally locked in these cages that you see in the back of the room. We refer to them as cages.
And do you use evidence placards?
We do, yes.
And can you describe to the members of the jury the significance of those?
So initially when we do a walkthrough in a scene, we're trying to identify obvious items of evidence. So sometimes not everything gets marked on the initial walkthrough because we don't recognize its importance at the time. So when that happens,
I will say that this particular witness has a really kind of down home, not condescending way of explaining maybe procedural things. I I really like it. She's taking things that might be, new and different to what the jurors have, and she isn't talking down or dumbing it down too much, but she's saying it in a nice way that is easy to understand.
when we do that initial walkthrough, we do mark with a plastic evidence placard the items of that we consider to be of possible evidentiary value at that point. So when you see pictures, you will see evidence placards kind of throughout, and that's what they're being used to mark the significance. So then we can tell later, like spatial relationships, if it turns to matter more.
Okay. Is that typically something you do after your initial walkthrough of the crime scene?
Yes, because the initial walkthrough is kind of what do we have, like what appears to be most important in the very beginning.
Okay, so the video, would that be absent evidence placards at that
It
point?
would be, yes. This video is like the first kind of like official walkthrough from the forensic services unit, so we have some sort of idea of what matters.
Yeah, at this point, we can publish that video.
Okay. Y'all's guess is as good as mine. Oh, okay. I am going to turn this down because I vaguely remember that this had a lot of background, and Joel had all the heaters going, so that is
Crime scene tape is very windy, and that's going to matter in just a minute in video. Just that it's very windy that day, so in the video, in just a moment, you're going to see why that matters, because this is something that we would not normally do on a scene that's about to happen. That would probably be, yeah. So where I can kind of explain what we're coming to as we come to it. So again, it's really windy. And this is just like approaching the garage. And this evidence marker is on its side to mark this piece of evidence. And it's so windy, it blows it over. And so I'm using my gloved hand to grab it and put it within, like inside the garage to keep it from blowing away.
look
again.
at that doggo bed. That's a cute one with all the
So this is approaching through the garage. Into a sort of eating kitchen area.
Joel, just all the evidence, doggone it. You've got the sprayer, you've got the bleach, you got a hammer.
So table in the. in
Oh
the
dear
eating
Lord, I've
kitchen.
had that tablecloth. He left the cash? Okay. For as much
Right,
carnage as
that's
he
in the
did, that's
kitchen
not enough
floor.
bleach.
And then this is the kitchen proper.
That is a tiny kitchen.
So it's important to note here that the stovetop is on in this large stock pot.
Yeah. Did Joel, did you eat a Hot Pocket, you giant douche?
So this is continuing kind of to the other side of the kitchen counter.
Sir, you could not even be bothered to put your little frozen Hot Pocket thing in the trash can.
And then on into the formal dining room area of the residence.
That is a lot of wallpaper right there. Probably gonna put her up to 2 point or 1.25 because she's basically just going to narrate her walkthrough now. Oh my goodness, did my mom have that
So this is us
border?
stepping into the foyer of the residence. This is the front door, and it faces the street. And here I'm noting that the heating unit for the house, for the downstairs of the house, is set to 90 degrees, and it was very, very warm in there. And that's the front door and some miscellaneous groceries that are sitting in the floor. There were.
That is a lot of Michelob Light.
So this is just a half bath that's in the downstairs.
She had a nice guest bath and everything. Joel, your mom was awesome. I wish she would mom me. And name brand Bounty. Some high living right there. It is great value all the way in my house.
So this is the living room downstairs in the residence. And you can see on this side, it's open to the
Oh,
heated
the
kitchen.
tchotchkes.
This is the back door. You'll know.
Can I tell you that I have always told Mr. Mo that I will know I have become a fully fledged adult and I can have nice things for that like little bit of time between uh, empty nest and first grandchildren. I will have a nice nativity set where Jesus doesn't get decapitated and replaced by a Power Ranger, or we've lost all of the wise men and their flock of animals. One day I will have a nice nativity set. And then I will happily pack it away when I get my grandbabies.
Note it's missing a doorknob.
And then the hairdryer looking,
I don't believe this one was on.
don't quote me on this, but I believe that Joel had looked up how to start fires with certain appliances being plugged in and having flammable
So
materials
off the
next to
living room
them.
here is this kind of little office area. So that's what that next doorway is.
I swear to goodness, this woman was my mother because I could see her decorating just like this. Doggone it, Joel. They were proud of you. They've got your pictures where you weren't in the cone of shame. She's got a Joel wall. You are such a ingrown hair on the taint of humanity that needs to be excised, allegedly in Minecraft. Again, these are just my opinions, not legal or life advice. I do love the windows too, not any other. Our house was built in the 70s. We have all sorts of design features that I think require LSD in their engineering phase.
So this is back through the foyer.
Now she's better than me because I would trip the F over that area.
So there's some reddish brown staining right here. And we refer to things that we believe to be blood as reddish brown staining in forensics before they're tested. And
To be
confirmed
fair,
to be
on the
blood.
Berber
So you
carpeting,
measure
you
the
don't
conformity
quite
of some
notice
reddish brown
all,
staining.
well, I mean, you
That's
notice that. But
So there's more RBS down the side of the wall and here at this gate.
D-
and on the
dear
downstairs
Lord,
wall.
Joel, did you do? Oh my goodness.
So this is just the landing at the top of the stairs, just kind of small, almost foyer type area.
Oh my goodness. Now, I will say those cast iron irons are incredibly heavy, and he might have also bludgeoned his mother. I believe her head showed, blunt force trauma, and you swing one of those, they're hefty and solid.
There's more of that reddish brown staining on the wall.
It is just sad that him and Chandler, the amount of time and effort they put into destroying their family is more than it would have been if they'd just gotten what we like to refer to as a gerb. I mean, honestly, I've had moments in my life where I've had to go to my parents and say, "You know what? I've kind of been a screw up. I know you're disappointed, and I'm sorry, but I'm human, so I screwed up, and I may need your help for a little bit until I unscrew up myself, and I will try to do better because I want to, make you proud." You do that, you admit you're wrong, you get a job, and you stop being such a screw up.
And I know we had to turn the volume of the video down so that you could hear me speak while I describe it, but the sound in the video changes at this point. There's a loud noise in here because there's a heater on and blowing within the room.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Oh, they just have are those Beanie Babies?
You can see the bag moving right there in the breeze being put off from the heater. It was turned on I think at the highest setting it could go.
And she made her bed. I the Beanie Babies are the most disturbing thing right now. And this is so Joel had it in his mind that he was going to frame his father in kind of a murder-suicide once the house burnt down. Again, I'm not quite sure how he was going to do that when his father's hands were not attached to his body, so how he could both murder and suicide himself, alligator head for a reason. You know, not everyone chooses to decorate in Sailor Moon, despite that being the obvious choice.
This is one of my coworkers who's also on scene with me.
The blender, I cannot with you, Joel. Sentenced to I
This
can't even
video
think
was
of a
on.
worse thing than the Sharknado movies, but I will. You have to watch the new Velma.
Yes, it is set to the number 3 setting, which is presumably the highest fan setting on it, like a fan. And this is going into the master bathroom. So what
Thank
you're
you
seeing
for
here
blurring.
is plastic sheeting that's on the ground in 2 large Rubbermaid type tubs.
Sir, Dexter
This is the shower.
covered the entire
The
thing.
hose attached to the top attachment of the shower head has been removed and a hose has been put there instead, like a garden hose type of thing.
At this point, do you just stand up and say, "Your Honor, he left all the evidence."
It was liquid with pieces of human body in it, in each of them. Both tubs had body parts in them and they were kind of bulging on the sides.
Hey, mom was getting ready to do her hair. I got 2 boxes too. I understand it. You know, praise tiny baby Jesus for y'all blurring this out, because even the blurring out, I'm imagining grossery yuckiness.
There is a heater in the bathroom. At this time, it's not on. But the master bedroom area of the house was definitely the warmest part of the house. And the upstairs was even warmer than the downstairs of the house. So to the best of my recollection, the only heater that's on besides the central heat and air units is the one here in the master bedroom. See, this is the heater I was talking about that's in the master bedroom. It's turned off right now. It's unplugged.
See, he couldn't even been bothered. Dexter does the entire wall.
So this is a set of like dishwashing gloves that are turned inside out on the counter there. This is the rest of the hose. This is back through the master bedroom. This is just the closet in the master, one of the closets in the master bedroom.
Hey, he's a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy. I can dig it. That is a terrible
walking back
seam
to
on
the
that
upstairs
Berber
area.
carpet.
And now we're going into the guest bedroom.
Where Joel left his laptop and his murder book. Honestly, play it through. So he kills his parents. He hurts his murder mittens, so he goes back to the school where he has sort of insurance, and goes to the clinic down there in Baton Rouge. And then I guess what? Goes to sleep? I mean, sir, you have bits and pieces of mom and dad just everywhere. I underst How does it not go through these guys' heads that their parents are going to be missed at some point?
There's more reddish brown staining in the floor. A suitcase here. These are tops to blue Rubbermaid containers.
I hope the dog
That
bit him as he was
were
trying to get him
similar,
in
if
the
not the same ones for the ones in the
laundry room.
master bath. So these are the lids. And there's a bunch of textbooks here and some medication.
I believe that is a members only jacket. We have found one for Nicholas. Hope y'all don't have vertigo. We need to work on this shaky cam thing.
This is a dresser. There's like a box of bullets there, box of gloves that's been opened, a container of hydrogen peroxide, it's food grade hydrogen peroxide with some reddish brown staining on it. And here on the other side of the bed is a backpack. And then moving towards the bed, there's some reddish brown staining on the bed and a laptop computer.
What a darn dingleberry leaving all of this behind. Well, I mean, the first non-dingleberry thing would be don't murder your parents, but that's apparently asking too doggone much.
This is back out into the foyer.
I try not to actively hate a person and, dislike their
And this is the
act.
upstairs temperature control. And it's at 95 degrees at this point.
But for this crime scene technician, you make me get into a sweaty, hot as
So
heck
this is
room,
across the hallway from the guest room is a room that I think we refer to in our notes as a storage room.
and you make me see bits and pieces of your parents, and I get sweaty. If I get boob sweat
Reddish
because
brown
of
stain on
you,
the door
we
frame
have
of the
issues. And I can guarantee you with those 100% polyester uniforms, she was sweating her tits off. Listen, you come here, you get the mo-ness. I wish I could be different, but I'm not. And I find making me have to have boob sweat is a critical and, what is it? A felony crime in my book. Oh, goodness, the borders. Those children are VHS tapes. That's what happened before CDs. Those are blue lace curtains. I've never seen blue lace curtains, but okay. Okay, guys, I'm gonna speed her up a little bit since well, let's see. I don't think there's too much longer. Okay.
So we're
But
coming back out into the hallway at this point. And there's a bathroom on the right, a laundry room on the left, and straight ahead is kind of a bonus exercise room kind of thing. It's over the garage of the residence. So this is the hall bathroom.
again, you took all of their clothes off, sir. I have so many issues with that. Your mom had a nice clean house and you've just ruined it.
It's a pile of clothes and towel on the floor.
Sir, if your mother bought you Banana Republic underpants and you murdered her for cutting you off, we need my kids get great value underpants.
Right here in the corner, what we're trying to show is that there's a pile of looks like used medical tape and bandage type stuff.
Could not even flush the toilet. Hurled into the center of the sun, just into the center of the sun.
So there's a lot of stuff on top of the vanity and a lot of reddish brown staining.
You are just gross, sir. I don't know why it strikes me as kind of funny, but my youngest has taken to wearing a lot of medical gloves, and it just seems so you can't make sense of it. I can kind of understand how Beverly Lewis, the doctor, would be, very comforted with the whole idea that there is no evil, there's always a cause for it. Um, that could be very comforting, but th there are no answers. I mean, this is unexplainable, you cannot just wrap your head around it unless you have this sort of
This is
mindset
across the hallway into the laundry room.
of, your own personal importance. It's just so foreign, and I wish that I could believe, like Dr. Lewis, that there's always sort of a triggering thing, or there's science can figure out why this happens. Sometimes, people are just evil. They just are. They choose wrong every time. Also, another felony offense, you are 2 inches away from that laundry basket and your doggone underwear are still on the floor. Again, just catapulted directly into the sun.
And this is back to the room above the garage. Looks like it's set up as an exercise room slash possible guest room.
His father fought back and fought for his life, and I hope that I mean, it looks all to the contrary, but I hope it when he passed away, it was quick, as it could be, and that the family I don't
Some pile of
know
clothes with staining and a couple of knives.
what they were able to get back, but they were able to have, a respectful service and put them as close as they could. At least that's what I hope.
This is a large amount of reddish brown staining. And right back here at where this overturned Bowflex is, wait till we get back to it. Right here was a set of what appeared to be male human hands that were severed from any other part of just the hands.
Again, sir, you got your parents naked to decapitate them. I cannot express to you how weirded out that makes me. But looking at you and your cone of shame, you seem like just the type to do it. Once the video stops, I think I'll stop here and then I'll start another video because this is about an hour and 20 minutes long. And I want to kind of make this bite-sized, listenable.
So more reddish brown staining on the door of this closet in this room.
But you don't have to commit to, 8 hours. And I need to get ready for next stream. We will be doing the reverse trial viewing of the OnlyFans stalker. So we watched closing statements yesterday. He started out watching his conviction, and we have um, gone to the closing statements, and then we will be watching today the I guess the defendant's testimony. Nick and I are a lot of fun together, but it is a bit like herding cats with my nebulas of thoughts and different tangents. So I hope you guys will go over and watch that. I am glad that they are blocking that out. Well, okay, no. All right, I think I'm going to stop it right here because she just pretty much kind of goes out the way she came, and I do wanna take a bit of a potty break and such right before the stream starts. So I hope you've enjoyed this. We will be coming back probably this afternoon. I will work on getting the rest of her testimony and at least day 1 done. I might have them on 1.25 speed because I'm realizing that it's kind of taking a long time, and I do wanna get through the whole trial and maybe start a new trial. Um, Thor is comfortably sleeping off his high. Between the cats and the kids, just cannot have nice things. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon with Nick, where we'll be going over the, OnlyFans stalker case in reverse. So have a wonderful day.